Welcome to Bandit's Keep Actual Play. I'm Daniel. Today we are continuing the Song of the Mapper, which is my solo original Dungeons & Dragons campaign. I'm using Unchained, really, which is my version of Dungeons & Dragons that includes Chainmail and also Outdoor Survival. So we are dialing in to the Rangers. They have one of the very first dungeons that I ever explored in this campaign, which is over 100 episodes ago now, was basically a multi-level dungeon, and the third level they never cleared. This is where they are now. We fought battles with orcs outside. We fought a Balrog. We fought bandits. Did we fight the bandits? Somebody fought bandits. But basically, they're finally going to get a chance to go into the third level of this dungeon. You'll see as we get into the actual play, but there was a bit of a gap in my recording schedule, so we got a little paperwork to do there. But otherwise, we're going to jump in here, clear this dungeon, hopefully, and get through with this part of the campaign and move on. So here we go. Okay, it is April 15th. So life gets in the way sometimes, as we all know, and there was a big old gap. So normally at the end of each year, I try to finish up a, quote, season of the campaign, although I don't break it up that way, obviously, and kind of start over with new groups and new setups. But when we last left the Rangers, when I last left recording the Rangers at the end of 2024, so long ago, they had defeated a Balrog and Orc army and were basically encamped with the high-level cleric and their men, and then also the Rangers group that they had recruited, 200 medium horse. They were set up outside this dungeon. Weirdly, the first dungeon, I want to say, that I ever used in this campaign, and they never cleared the third level. They had told this cleric that they would clear the third level and then enchant this spell to basically forever seal this dungeon. You know, we didn't really work too much into that, but the idea was that there's some kind of great evil down here. They've got to get to the third level of the dungeon and seal it off. So that's kind of the idea here. Now, meta, because obviously the characters don't know this, on the third level of the dungeon, it is occupied by basilisks. Actually, I can't remember if they do know this or not. They might know this. But anyways, it doesn't really matter. What matters is there's 5 of them in total. I'm going to use the Deck of Many Dungeons, and when we get to an end room, and I'll talk about that when we start doing the dungeon, the end room will have all the rest of the basilisks. Throughout the exploration, they can encounter basilisks, and if they destroy them, and if we happen to destroy the last one, like if we encounter 5 times basilisks, on the 5th one, it'll just be the last room. We'll assume that last basilisk was guarding this great, evil shrine. The player characters will destroy it and get out. Now, it is the third level of the dungeon, and I could have them work their way all the way through the dungeon. I could do all kinds of things, but they've been there for 5 months with this group. This is a well-established space. But I do want to, and I'm just going to make that decision. So just like I would in my campaign at home, a lot of times when we're playing solo, we want to let the dice decide. But sometimes you just got to make a decision. And in this case, I'm not going to roll random encounters for multiple months. I'm not going to do all kinds of shenanigans to go back in time. I'm just going to say they have established an encampment here with their, I know they lost some of them, and it's probably noted somewhere, but they've got like around 100 or more medium horse, plus the cleric there to help them, and they've set up an encampment. Now, but what I do want to leave a little bit of chance to is the following. So this, by the way, is the halfling that died, and they couldn't get him raised up, unfortunately. Because of the way D&D works, and this is very meta, they have got a whole bunch of gold, and they're going to get a whole bunch more gold. And you're only allowed to level up 1 time per returning back to town. So I know that if they have stayed here for these 4 or 5 months, and then they collect the treasure from this dungeon and go back, they'll kind of miss out a little bit. So I don't want that to happen. And I wouldn't want that to happen to my players either if I was DM. So what we're going to do is we're going to make an assumption, but we're going to use the dice the cards to decide. I'm going to say that throughout the course of the time, they went back and got supplies, got information, got other things. And during that time, 2 or 3 of them at a time, they're fairly high level characters on horses, rode back. Now, we know, if you've been watching this campaign at all, that 1 or 2 or even 3 people moving swiftly on horses, the chance of them actually encountering something that they have to confront is very, very low. So I am going to make it a chance that something bad did happen, and then we'll have to figure out what that something bad is. But we're going to go through this. I guess what we'll do is we'll say that 3 of them went, then they came back, then 3 went again. So somebody repeated. Let's see, I'll roll a random die to see which one repeated. This is a D10. So number 5, so which would be half of that. So number 2. So 1, 2. So this magic user went back twice. So what we're going to do is, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to say, let's just check my assumption. Did the player characters go back and try to bring some of their gold back to town and get more supplies and do all that kind of goodness? Again, I think if we're using the mythic deck, which is right here, I'm going to say that is very likely. So the way this works is we draw 3 cards. If any of them are yes, then it's yes. Yes. Okay. So they definitely attempted to go back. Now, here's the question. In the first group, so the first 3, so we'll say the top row, was there any kind of a situation or a negative? I'm going to, you know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to roll this die. This is from Tales of Argosa. This has a sun on 2 sides, a skull on 2 sides, and blank on the other. I'm going to roll this to see how the first trip went. Blank. It was neutral, nothing good, nothing bad. They went, they came back. Now the second group, which would be these 2 plus them, did they have, how was their trip? Sun. Okay, something positive happened. Okay, cool. So in order to discover what happened positive, there's lots of ways we could use the mythic deck to pull words, but I love this deck of signs here, also from Tales of Argosa. And we're going to pull 2 cards, and we're going to see what good thing may have happened. That doesn't look very good. Victory, looting, glory, proud, omen, revealing, warning, unsettling. Interesting. So again, this is a good thing. So victory, revealing, warning, glory, looting. So let's use the mythic deck, and we're just going to kind of ask it a few questions to see if we can get this. So did they stop some kind of evil force from attacking let's say a caravan or a town, in which case they'll get some kind of bonus from that. Maybe we'll get some connections in next season. So I'm just going to put this 50-50. So 1 card, yes or no? No. Okay. So they didn't do that. So let's go with this one then. Omen, revealing. Did they discover something that will lead them to, let's say, more treasure? Because that's basically their goal. These characters are not very deep in this campaign. But, some kind of campaign, actually, we're talking about, did they find out something about some way to possibly bring this halfling back? Maybe a journey into the underworld? Could be good. I like that idea, so I'm going to stack the deck in my favor and say that is likely, since the first thing didn't work out. So 2 cards if anyone is yes. No? No. Okay, it's not that. So it's not an omen about the halfling, and it's not that they stopped somebody from looting. It's not about the victory. So maybe what's happening here is they had a victory, right, over the Balrog and the orcs. Maybe it's gone back to the town, and they have basically been, people have taken up the idea that they are some kind of heroes of the realm and that they're here for a greater cause. And because of that, there's some kind of quest that they're going to go on, we'll say, in next season. So since we keep getting a no on everything, I'm just going to say that this one is the case. So basically, there is an omen. They believe, the townsfolk and stuff believe that this group is somehow heroes that are supposed to have a greater cause. Maybe one person in the group, maybe the whole group. I'm not sure. We'll figure that out later, but that's basically what happened. But in any case, more relevant to us for what we're doing is this. I'm going to pause, not that you'll really notice much, get myself organized here, but I'm actually going to then give them the experience points for the gold and stuff that they got, so that they may actually, some of them might actually level up now before we start going into the dungeon. All right, so a couple of things. I leveled everybody up, and everybody did level up. There was a lot of gold, actually. In fact, some of the people could have actually gone up 2 levels, but again, because of the rules, they can't. So everybody, in fact, all of them, everybody went up 1 level and is 1 experience point away from the next level. So even if they get just a minimum amount of treasure here, although it's do or die here, they're going to clear this place or they're going to be turned to stone probably, then they're all going to level up again, which is very nice. So currently we have 4 6th-level magic users, 1 5th-level magic user, and a cleric. So now the other thing is I remembered as I was sorting through that the party did find out, I remember rolling, and they did know that there were basilisks down here. They did know basilisks turned you to stone, but what they didn't know was that they could reflect back the basilisk's image to it to turn it to stone. So what we're going to do here is, because again, 5 months have gone by, they're interacting with this cleric. They've been back to town a bunch of times. I think there's a decent chance that they're going to have learned that. So we're going to let the Oracle decide. Before I do that, though, one final thing. I thought about this again with this victory and omen, and what I've decided is the omen is that if they can destroy this temple here, that that the forces of good will be able to come to this area and settle, and they will actually become the protectors of, or the beginning of a settlement out here. So that's kind of cool. They're not quite at quote name level yet, but I think that at this level, this is when parties start doing stuff like this. So they have so much treasure. I want to say, I don't have a piece of paper with me. I want to say it was like 200,000 or more gold pieces from the combined treasures. Plus, again, if they solve this, they're going to get a bunch more. I'm going to sit down and figure it out. Maybe I'll do that in a video. You can let me know if you want me to do that, because I probably won't do it right away. And I might actually take the rules in OD&D and build out a castle. Might be really fun. But one thing we want to do is let's determine whether or not they have discovered that a mirror will in fact reflect the basilisk's reflection. I think there's a pretty good chance. We're still at 5, because 5 is where you start in Mythic, and we're just starting fresh. This is the beginning of the session now. So a good chance would mean likely. So with likely, we're going to pull 2 cards. If either one is yes, they know about the mirror. And of course, they will have bought mirrors. No? No. Okay, they do not know. Somehow, this information is unknown. Maybe it's not true in this world. Who knows? At this moment, though, that's where we stand. So let's look at the deck of many dungeons. This is your first time here. The kings are basically final rooms. So when we get to a place where we can't go any further, we throw the king down instead of that last room that would be a dead end, and that becomes our final room. As I mentioned earlier, that's where the remainder of the basilisk will be. And I think all the treasure makes sense. That's like a treasury / shrine. So I'm not going to have any treasure discovered until they get to that room. So the way the way it works is you would pick a random king for the shape of it or whatever, but because there's different stuff in here, but I don't really care about the shape. We will pick one random when the time comes. And the same thing is true with entrances. So yes, the aces are entrances, and I basically have, for some reason I don't have the hearts, but that's okay. Basically I have 4 different options. I'm going to just shuffle them. Again, we'll take, let's say, this one, and this is going to be our entrance. Okay, so what we do is, the stairs here are where you come in. Replace this where it's in the video, but at the bottom. I think that works. All right, so the party, I just used this little mini for this. The party comes in here. Maybe it took this long to get into this dungeon because the party has been looking for this entrance because it leads directly to the 3rd level. However you want to look at it, that's just where we're at, right? And let me move those headphones out of the way. All right, so let's begin. The party again. Oh, so also, I should have mentioned, I think I mentioned this in previous ones, but at this level, they all have continuous light. So each character has a continuous light spell casts on something that they have on their body, so they can cover up like an amulet. But in addition to that, the cleric is going to carry a torch because it's always good to have actual fire and magical traps and such. Just as a kind of a good dungeon crawling proposition, the cleric's going to carry a torch. But also, and they encountered mummies once before, so also all the characters will have torches on them, but the cleric's going to have a lit torch, is what I should say. And the cleric is going to be blindfolded. Why? Because we know the basilisk can turn people to stone by looks, and we know that the elves have an extra protection against it. So the human magic user is going to basically be guiding the cleric. Okay. So here we go. We can move 12. So what we're going to do in this first room is spread out and check all the doors. 1, 2, 3 doors. We can get to all 3 of them in half a turn. The cleric and the human magic user is going to stand in the middle. One elf is going to go to each door and listen. So on the first door here, Do they hear anything? They do not. Do they hear anything in the middle? They do not. Do they hear anything here? They do. Okay, so if there's something here, they will have heard it. Let me just roll on a 1 or a 2. There's a monster over that side. There's not. Okay, so they don't hear anything. So now we just pick a door. I think I'm just going to go straight ahead. So all that was turn 1. I'm keeping track of turns for rest, but also because the cleric has to relight their torch. Okay, so we're going to open the door. Up to 3 people can try to open the door. The cleric is going to be one of the people, and 2 of the elves. On a 1 or a 2, they are able to open it. Okay, they slam into the door and are unable to open it. So what I usually do is trigger a wandering monster check when that happens. And we get one. All right. So I have my wandering monster list here. There's basically 4 items on it. I'm going to roll to see what comes on after us. 5. Okay, this is a green slime. Okay, so a green slime is something that you walk under and it gets set. So it's going to be on the other side of the door. Okay, so basically, again, human magic user, cleric, and we'll just say this elf are going to try to push the door open. Okay, one of them is able to push it open, which means these 2 characters go through first. Let's see, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to see which one the slime potentially falls onto. Okay, it's going to potentially fall into them. So the way green slime works in this is you roll a d6. On a 1 or a 2, you effectively don't see it as it's falling and it lands on you. So let's hope it doesn't land on him. It doesn't. The green slime hits the ground with a sizzle as the elf moves out of the way. So it doesn't actually hurt us at all. And we're through the door. So let's see what's on this side. Oh, they spent all that time looking for an entrance, and there was a side entrance right there. Okay, so they go through the door. Oh, that was in turn 2. Let me make a random monster check. Oh, there's going to be one. Okay. So there should have been one at the end of turn 2, but there was anyways because of the noise. So I'm going to just have this special one happen at the end of this turn. Let's see what it is. 4. An ochre jelly. Okay, let's get a distance on that. 6. Okay, well, if it's a distance of 6 from the end of this turn. So I'm going to move them first, and then it'll be 6 away from them. So what they're going to do is move 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's say they have enough movement to get to here and to listen at this door. 3 people can listen. They hear something if it's in there. So it could theoretically be in here because it could be in there, or it could be here. Or I guess it could be coming from a crack and coming from this direction. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, it's actually coming from in this room. So we hear it. So it's not going to surprise us. So we hear this like, that's what a slime sounds like. And we know there's something in this room. Now, of course, we're trying to clear this dungeon and we don't know. I mean, obviously I can see that there's not much beyond that door, but they don't know that. So they're going to, actually, if they're being smart, they don't know what it is. Do I have any spells? I do have ESP. Seems early to waste that spell, though. You know what? This turn 4, which I have to roll again for Wandering Monster, they're actually going to be smart about this, and they're going to move to this corner and wait to see if something comes out of that door. So let me make a random monster check for turn 4. There's not one. Okay. And let's go 50-50 chance that the ochre jelly follows them. So high, it follows them. It does. Okay. End of turn 4, ochre jelly comes out of this door. Now, here's the question. We have magic users, which I think would know about jellies, oozes, and slimes. We haven't actually, this group has not encountered an ochre jelly, I do not believe. I know that other groups have, but I don't think this group has. So with intelligence, there's lots of ways you can do this. If I was at a table, I would probably have the person with the highest intelligence try to roll under their int, maybe, to see if they knew what it was. But I think I like using the oracle for this kind of thing. So again, it's still in the middle because nothing's happened so far. Well, actually, what was the... I can't remember. We're going to say we're still in 5. And, oh no, it went against us. So it actually, when it goes against you, yeah, there was a character setback. So it actually is on 6 now. So we're at 6. I think there's a 50-50 chance that they're going to know. And 6, we add 1 to that. So 50-50 moves up to likely. So we're going to pull 2 cards. If either one's a yes, they know about Ochre Jellies. Oh, yes. And a remote event happens on if the chaos factor is 5 through 9, which it is. Okay, so one thing at a time. They know about Ochre Jellies, so we're going to look at Ochre Jelly description, and we're going to go from there. But also a remote event happens. So, because I want to keep this relatively local for this particular adventure, we're going to say that it's something in the dungeon. And the way you generally do remote events in Mythic is you go to one of your threads or characters. So I'm going to roll a d6 to see what the remote event is affecting. I only count it if it goes inside. 5. Okay, so that's funny, something with the green slime. But it's remote, so it wouldn't be that green slime. So there's something going on with green slimes. Let's see if it's positive or negative. Well, what would be something that would be going on with green slimes? I think the most likely thing is that more green slime is coming, right? That would be a remote event, that the green slimes have somehow noticed that there's life here. We're going to have an increase in green slimes. So that seems the most likely thing. So again, I think we'll go with 50-50 on that, which means we're going to pull 2. And any yeses means that's the case. No. So then we're going to say the opposite. Basically, the green slimes have not noticed life here, or maybe they noticed life somewhere else, so we're less likely to get a green slime. So we're going to make a green slime for the next, let's say, for the next 11 turns, any rolls of green slime will mean that there's just nothing. Okay, so that's how we'll handle that. So now we know about Ochre Jellies. So let's look at the Ochre Jelly. So this is, again, using Unchained, which is my rules. Okay. Any hit, so this is any hit from the Ochre Jelly that does not kill the victim causes the Ochre Jelly to stick to the armor and skin. From that point on, it delivers 1d6 hit points of damage automatically. Any attack against the Ochre Jelly automatically hits. The Ochre Jellies are only harmed by fire. 1d6 hit point per figure of attacker. Okay, see, I told you they're good to have fire. Okay, so we know that fire is the key here. Now, we also know that this is where we're kind of interesting. We are basically 30 feet away from this thing. And see how fast this thing moves. We're 30 feet away from it. We recognize that's the situation. And I think what we're going to do, because we also know if it's fast or not. Oh, its move is 3. Okay, so its move is super slow. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll initiative and hope that we win. Black is the creature, white is us. Actually, it wins. All right, so it moves first. 1, 2, 3. It actually moves up into a melee. So if that's the case, what we're going to do is, as it's moving up, the party is basically, was going to run, but we can't run without taking a hit, and we don't want to do that. So we're going to basically have the clerics with her torch. Maybe someone will have to grab it because she's blinded currently. So she's going to hand her torch off to one of the elves in the front. Like I said, they have torches, so they literally see it coming and they pull out a torch that is unlit, and they reach back, and the cleric reaches forward and lights. She lifts her blindfold, and they basically light the torches. So these guys are going to have torches to fight with. I'm going to say though, because we lost initiative, that it's still going to be simultaneous combat. We're not going to hold it off with torches or anything like that. So as everybody's lighting their torches, I'm going to allow the Ochre Jelly to make an attack. So now the way this works is Ochre Jelly attacks as 6 heavy foot. The party is defending as armored foot, and the reason for that is They've got magical chainmail. They've got magical chainmail, and they have plate. That's 3/5 of the party. These two aren't wearing armor at all, but that means that, you know, armored is what they are. So heavy foot versus armored foot. We're going to look at our combat charts. Heavy versus armored is 1 die per 2 figures with 6 hitting. And again, this ochre jelly has a special rule. So normally what would happen is I would look at that and say, it's 6 armored foot, heavy foot rather, we're just rolling 3 dice. Even if it got all 3 of them, it might not, that's actually not true. It could kill somebody in the front. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to roll its attacks. If it gets 3 6s, then it could potentially kill one of the characters in the front. If it does not get 3 6s, but it gets any 6s, it will do damage again next round against the character. And if it doesn't get any 6s, it misses. So here we go. No 6s. Okay, so it actually doesn't, like, it kind of reaches out with its pseudopods and nothing happens. The party is going to automatically hit. Now, torches aren't particularly long, but 3 people can fight in a corridor. So I'm going to say the cleric will be one of them. So she'll step up. So we have 3 men plus 1. And the plus 1's for hitting, so that doesn't actually matter. And 3 men plus 1. So 3, 6, 9. So I'm going to roll 9 dice. And we're going to add these up, because now we're using hit points. We'll talk about this in a second. Okay, so 13. No, that was bad. Plus 6 is 19. Plus 12 is 29, 31. So 31 hit points of damage against this thing. But so I have to roll its hit points. It's 6 hit dice, I think that's what I said. Let's check it. So again, this is one of the few cases where we use hit points. So it's actually 5 hit dice. So it actually should have only rolled a couple of dice. It's 5, not 6, but it doesn't matter. So it's only 5 hit dice. So I'm going to roll 5 dice for its hit points. And if it has less than 31 hit points, it's dead. Oh, okay, hold on. 10, 19, 21. So it's dead. So basically, the party is able to, using its torches, burn this ochre jelly, and it is destroyed. Okay. If you've been enjoying these actual plays, please do take a second to like the video, subscribe to the channel, watch some of the older content if you'd like. Let me know in the comments below what else you'd like to see. We're kind of wrapping up, if you will, season 2 or 3, I can't remember what, but we're kind of opening up a new domain here. I have some ideas, but if there's something you'd love to see on this campaign, let me know, and I'll talk to you soon.